interviewing for the show, they weren't saying that it was Angel's show, but they said, like, it's a Chicago superstar. We can't tell you who it is. But I'm like, okay, like, we know who it is. So, yeah, then once I was in the interview process, I saw her at an event. And I was like, hey, Angel girl. She was like, hey, Maya girl. And I'm like, I'm trying to get that job. And then maybe like a week or 2 weeks later, I got the job. And then we talked after that too. So she's really dope, very sweet. But yeah, I used to run into her in Chicago a little bit before we worked together.
Yeah, so ever since you guys started working together, I think the podcast's been out for about a month now. So where would you say your connection now with Angel Reese is now compared to how it once was when you guys first met?
Yeah, I would say it's definitely gotten better. It's definitely much stronger because I work with her all the time now. Like, we have an entire show where I produce her show and co-host some episodes. So it's much better. I think for me, it's very exciting to be a part of Angel's world because she literally, her motivation and her grind and her hustle is unlike a lot of people that I've worked with. Like, she's not a diva. When she comes in, she's very hardworking. She always has ideas, whether it's about the set design or the topics or the guest list. Like, she's very hands-on. And I think that's one thing with people's career that helps them establish longevity is when they're hands-on. Like, it's not just like, oh, I'm showing up for an NIL deal. Like, she actually really cares about every single thing that she touches. So it's been great to work with her.
Yeah. So would you say that her work ethic isn't talked about enough? Because we hear the things out in the media, and I say I'm an Angel Reese lover. I'm gonna tell you right now, I love her, and I look at her every day, and I'll be like, how can anyone hate this girl? Is it because she's beautiful, she's pretty, she's talented? You know, her podcast speaks for itself when it said in the title itself, when it says she's unapologetically her. Like, what is it about her that people don't like? It's like, how can someone who gives so much receive so much hate? And it sucks. And it really do, because it's like, I'm like, I want to feel bad for her, but the dope side of her that she promotes, and she does a hell of a job, by the way, by doing it. It's like, she don't even give a damn, and rightfully so.
Yeah, I think with this new generation of women's basketball players, it's kind of opening the doors to have conversations about women. And I think it's kind of tough for people to see a woman who is amazing at their craft and beautiful and smart, and then they go into a bunch of different lanes. So, like, I was just saying on my podcast earlier, I don't know if you saw the Becky Hammon quote about the Aces, and she was like, yeah, we're down 0-2, but it's because they're celebrities and they were in commercials this summer, so everyone has it out for us. I don't really like the narrative that people paint where it's like, okay, well, if you do things outside of the court, you're not focused on your basketball skills, you're not focused on improving your game. That's not how life works. Like, you can have a bunch of things going on at once. And so I think she's a great example of someone where you can see she's working on her game, she's improving, she's getting better, but then she's also like, I'm going to go do this Vogue shoot, and I'm going to go to the Met Gala, and I'm going to, like, yes. I think people aren't used to really seeing someone who is the entire package, and when they do see it, they are caught off guard, and sometimes they just can't handle it. So it's exciting to be able to see her and a lot of the other players who continue to work hard and just show that you really can do anything.
Yeah, and everything that you said is 100% facts. And I don't think people understand this. See, this is the thing that I hate. They paint this narrative that you ain't focused on X, Y, and Z when you're doing, NOP. And the thing that just bothers me is that when they don't do it, they don't give back. They're the worst example of a superstar. Like, not to call anybody out, but let's say Stephen A. Smith. Let's use him as an example in his comments towards Kawhi Leonard. He calls Kawhi Leonard the worst superstar ever, to reach the basketball court because he's not outside in the media. He's not promoting things. He's private, etc., etc. And the thing that just irks me is like, but when superstars do, not saying that people like Stephen A. comes at Angel Reese, but when people, okay, let me word this. When people do they're not focused on the sport that everyone knows them for, or focus on, let's just say, the career that put them in the spotlight in the first place. And what people don't understand, it's something called self-promotion. I think her stat line speaks for itself, that she is more than dedicated to basketball. But you need something to do when you're in the off season. You know, you don't want to be a couch potato and be in the gym all day, every day. Like, I know that, you know, if that time ever comes, she's in the gym. She's either lifting weights or she's shooting baskets, etc. She is focused on basketball, but obviously she's sidelined from physical activity because of a season-ending injury, and you don't want to jeopardize yourself of not playing the next season, which she understands. But I just think that everyone it's a little too hard. They're a little too harsh on her. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
you know, it's all of this ridiculous things.
It's slightly a lose-lose situation, I think, with athletes in media, because I think the main focus should be, what do your stats look like, and how are you affecting your team? That should be the main thing. But it's like, if you're killing it on the court, but then you're also, if you have one bad game, they'll be like, oh, well, that's because LeBron's not focused because he's producing these movies and he's in these commercials. And it's like, no, I could have had one bad game if I did that or not. Like, bad games happen regardless. So
part of the game.
It's just part of the game. And people, I think a lot of these fans are new to watching sports. So they're not used to seeing certain things, and so that's why they have all of this extreme criticism.
Yeah, and then another point that I want to bring up is the fact that, just have to make sure everything was set. But so another point that I wanted to bring up is that people don't get this. The WNBA is not marketed like the NBA. It should be, and it's getting there, but it's not there yet. So these women have to do what they can to make as much money as they can, because, as you know, with the lack of teams, lack of room of rosters, the WNBA, being on a WNBA roster, even if you are a first round draft pick like Angel Reese, is not guaranteed. You know, there's always going to be that one person or two that coaches or organizations can see that could be more valuable and helpful towards the team for now in the near future. So they got to do what they can to make as much income on and off the court, so they'll be able to take care of themselves and other things. Like, we got women who are going across in other countries because they're not being compensated like they should be. So people don't bring that into factor to, okay, this is why she's doing all these things. Not only to show more versatility within the sport of basketball and show that women could be superstars and things too, but to also market it and understand the fact that she can, you know, take care of herself and other ones, just in case her basketball career is cut short.
100%. 100%. People just need to get more used to the idea and be more open-minded.
Yeah. So before we go off the topic a little bit here, back to the basis of Unapologetically Angel with Angel Reese. Mm-hmm. So what would you say is the difference between doing your content and working with overtime versus working with Angel Reese on Unapologetically Angel? What would be the difference between those two things?
I would say at overtime, our audience, we were targeting young high school students. And so my main goal when I was publishing on the page and also creating content for the page was to post things that young high school athletes cared about and also highlight them. So I would try to find the unknown hooper that's in Wisconsin who just broke a local school record that other outlets might not pick up. Or I would try to talk about the twins from Jersey who just signed a Puma deal and they're the youngest NIL shoe deal ever. You know, like trying to highlight the stories of high school athletes specifically and women athletes. I would say the work that I'm doing now on Angel's podcast is different because it's not specific to women's sports. So like the episode that dropped today, it was with Dwayne Wade. Obviously, Dwayne Wade is a man who played in the NBA, had a Hall of Fame career. But Dwayne Wade is an investor in the Chicago Sky. So he cares about women's sports. He has a daughter who is obsessed with Angel, who goes to all of their games when they are in Chicago. So it's not a specific women's sports show, but there are always elements within the show that give women their flowers, that talk about women's sports, that talk about WNBA headlines, college headlines. But this show is more so at the intersection of entertainment as well. So then you could have a Lotto on the show. Lotto could be like, I've never watched a WNBA game, but love Angel and love what she's doing for the culture. So this show is more so at the intersection of sports and entertainment. So then we can have music guests come on. We can have actors. We can have politicians even one day. Like, this is bigger than just sports.
Yeah. People don't get it. I just don't think, I think she gets, the criticism and all of this is because people just don't get it. They don't get the purpose of what we call the women's evolution. And that is to redefine what it is to be a woman athlete. Bottom line, Angel Reese is doing just that, because the Met Gala, then you're going from there. The practice, people don't get how much time and how much dedication that takes. And if you think it's so easy, first of all, those tickets are not cheap. Let's start there. The flight tickets nor the events. So that alone should tell you how much money of her own money she's investing into promoting herself and the WNBA brand on big stages like that. Because the Met Gala is something to really be proud that you were a part of, even if you only a part of it one time. And she did just that. Her looks was, I think blue is really her color, though. I'm not going to lie. But flipping the script here, we speak on the promotion of women. We speak on the
Don't let them stop you. Back against the wall, beating all the odds. Yeah, are you gonna score when it's time to ball? Overcome your fears. Never thought you'd make it this far. Power on overdrive. Your hunger won't let you fall. Doors opening up like a butterfly. Opportunities here.